Welcome back to Hidden Wisdom Academy Biology. Today, we start a new journey on anatomy of seed, dicot and monocot. We'll learn the internal structure, main parts, and key differences to help you solve questions easily. Stay till the end for practice questions and a preview of the next topic. Also, don't miss our daily biology podcast for quick revision. Get your notes ready and let's dive in. As always, in this slide you can see the syllabus and PYQ topics with their years, so you know what to expect in your exams. Let's understand the structure of a dicot seed using a bean seed. The seed has an outer covering called the seed coat, made of two layers, testa and tegmen. You'll see a small mark called the hilum, where the seed was attached to the fruit, and a tiny hole called the micropyle, which lets water in during germination. Inside is the embryo, the radicle grows into the root, the plumule grows into the shoot, and the two large cotyledons store food. In most dicot seeds, the endosperm is absent because the food is stored in the cotyledons. Let's look at the structure of a monocot seed using a maize grain. The seed coat is fused with the fruit wall, forming a thin cover. Most of the seed is filled with the endosperm, which stores food for the embryo. The outer layer of the endosperm is the alurone layer, rich in protein. The embryo lies on one side and has one cotyledon called the scutellum, which absorbs food from the endosperm. The plumule grows into the shoot and is protected by the coleoptile, while the radicle grows into the root and is protected by the coleorhiza. In short, a monocot seed has one cotyledon and a persistent endosperm. Let's quickly compare dicot and monocot seeds. Dicot seeds, like bean or pea, have two cotyledons, while monocot seeds, like maize, have one cotyledon called the scutellum. In dicots, the endosperm is absent because food is stored in the cotyledons. In monocots, the endosperm is large and stores food for the embryo. In dicots, the seed coat is separate from the fruit wall, but in monocots, both are fused. Remember, dicot equals two cotyledons, monocot equals one cotyledon. Let's see functions of seeds. Seeds have several important functions. They help plants reproduce sexually and grow into new plants. Seeds also aid in dispersal, spreading to new places by wind, water, animals, or other methods. They store food, in cotyledons for dicots and in endosperm for monocots, to nourish the embryo. The seed coat protects the embryo from damage, pathogens, and drying out. Seeds can also stay dormant until conditions are right for germination. Let's see practical observations of seeds. In practical studies, start with a dicot seed like bean or pea. Look at the seed coat, hilum and micropyle. Identify the two cotyledons, radicle and plumule. Note that mature dicot seeds usually have no endosperm. For a monocot seed like maize, observe that the seed coat is fused with the fruit wall. Identify the single cotyledon, scutellum, plumule, radicle, coleoptile, and coleorhiza. Notice the large endosperm that stores food for the embryo. Let's practice few questions to test your knowledge. Let's start with question 1. Which of the following statements about dicot and monocot seeds is correct? From NET 2023. Option A: dicot seeds have a single cotyledon, monocots have two cotyledons. Option B: dicot seeds store food in endosperm, monocots in cotyledons. Option C: dicot seeds have two cotyledons and store food in cotyledons, monocots have one cotyledon and store food in endosperm. Option D: both dicot and monocot seeds are non-endospermic. Explanation. Let's check the options one by one. Option A is incorrect because dicot seeds have two cotyledons, not one. Option B is incorrect because in dicot seeds, food is stored in the cotyledons, not the endosperm. Option C is correct because dicot seeds have two cotyledons that store food for the embryo. Examples are bean and pea. The endosperm is usually absent. In monocot seeds, there's one cotyledon called the scutellum, and a large endosperm stores food, like in maize and rice. Option D is incorrect because monocot seeds are endospermic, not non-endospermic. So, option C is the correct answer, that is, dicot seeds have 2 cotyledons and store food in cotyledons. Monocots have 1 cotyledon and store food in endosperm. Now, let's move to question 2. Explain the transverse section of a monocot seed, example, maize, showing 1. Plumule 2. Radicle 3. Scutellum 4. Coleoptile 5. Coleorhiza 6. Endosperm. Explanation. Here we have a monocot seed, for example, maize. The scutellum is the single cotyledon that absorbs nutrients from the endosperm. The plumule will develop into the shoot, and the radicle will develop into the root. The coleoptile is the protective sheath around the plumule, while the coleorhiza protects the radicle. The endosperm is the large, starchy tissue that provides food for the growing embryo. Let's look at some common mistakes students make in seed anatomy. First, remember, dicots have 2 cotyledons, and monocots have only 1. Second, food is stored in different places. In dicots, it's in the cotyledons, and in monocots, it's in the endosperm. Next, don't mix up the plumule and radicle. The plumule grows into the shoot, and the radicle grows into the root. Also, note the protective covers. The plumule is covered by the coleoptile, and the radicle by the coleorhiza. Finally, most dicots are non-endospermic, while monocots are endospermic. Avoid these small mistakes to score full marks in both diagrams and questions. That's all for today's lecture on seed anatomy. Now you know how to identify dicot and monocot seeds, their structures, and key differences. In the next lecture, we'll learn about fruit anatomy, how fruits form from the ovary, their types, and the difference between true and false fruits. Don't forget to revise today's notes. Also, don't miss our daily NET MCQs and PYQ series for quick revision. See you in the next lecture.